something really important. The Montessori assessment. But please, can we confirm if we can't hear me? Can anyone hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. So without wasting time, I will go ahead and share my screen. Just let me know when you can see that as well. Okay, once again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me today's webinar. So, like I mentioned, we are going to be looking at the Montessori assessment as a critical part of, the well-being of the whole child development for schools. And in today's webinar, we'll look at, the concept of Montessori assessment. What exactly is it? Why does it actually matter in the first instance? And then we'll have a live demo and then taking questions as they come in. So please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right, great, thank you. Okay. All right, so Montessori education, a very brief history about it. It's more of the whole child's development. So it started right from 1906. The first, Italy's first female physician, Dr. Maria Montessori. That's where the name was coined from. So she did a science experiments kind of for students or for children, and she opened the Children's House, a preschool for children aged 3 to 6. And first, this was for disadvantaged or special children, but because of the progress and the results that she got, it's has become a widespread thing. So contrary to the additional norms of the day, these children learn through hands-on, self-directed activities in an already prepared environment, and they showed a very high level of concentration, independence, for kids at that age, and then they also showed a very high level of calmness, what you would not really expect for a child in this age range, right? So this has actually evolved over time. And Montessori, aside from, like I mentioned, being from disadvantaged children, the Montessori method emphasizes the whole child development, both cognitive, emotional, social, and the physical development of the child. So, and to show you how important this has been, we've now seen it across over 140 countries, continuing this legacy that Maria started with. So what is the Montessori assessment? So I believe that when children are free to explore in a well-prepared environment, they develop deeply and joyfully. So Montessori assessment hones on these key principles while focusing on the self-directed mastery for each of based on the uniqueness of each of those children, not just tests and comparisons, right? So the core principles are, child-centered and mixed-age classroom. So that's something you cannot actually eliminate entirely from, a school environment. You always have mixed age in your class, and the Montessori hones on peer learning and also respect individual pace. So Ada may have, a development stage or a development pace that's different from, Amina in class. It also another principle of it is, having a prepared environment and hands-on materials. So materials, promote independence and learning by doing, not just learning by hearing. So it also hunts on freedom without limits. So children choose from structured options, in a very supportive and safe environment, right? So the assessment in Montessori is majorly observation based. Observe each child with their different uniqueness. It's formative and then it is individualized, right? No test or scores, which is like a general assessment. This time around is more individualized to the particular students. The emphasis is on mastery, progression, and self-reflection, right? and then teachers record these work samples. So it also focuses on a holistic growth, not just ranking, right? Tracking academic, inclusive, with social, emotional, and physical development in the child. So self-assessment and peer teaching enforces the child's ownership of learning, and you don't have comparison or ranking, just like I mentioned. So it is personal and then it is unique to the individual child. So why does actually Montessori? Why does it actually matter? Montessori assessments are how we capture growth. We can't test things like empathy, independence, curiosity, or even confidence. There is no scorecard. Montessori assessment helps us also to understand and support the development of each child, not just what they know, who becoming, which is very, very key and important for any child's development. Currently, now we see children spending more time in school than they would spend at home. So it's very important that where they are, mostly during the active times, in the day, you're actually harnessing and building this children, right? And not just feeding them with knowledge, but also making them to fully developed and who they actually becoming and who are in society. So take for instance a child that scores 85 in maths, but still refuses to share materials during group work, definitely needs guidance beyond academics, right? Or a student who struggles with spelling but actually shows resilience and problem solving in practical life tasks definitely deserves recognition. you know and there is no scorecard that would actually score this. You can score marks, but you can actually score independence or confidence or help, as the case may be. And then also take an instance where a nursery pupil who is independent in dressing up, cleaning up, and leading their peers is definitely thriving, even though he or she cannot read fluently. But that child is actually thriving. Would all agree to that. So that's where Montessori assessment comes into play, helping you to actually, assess the event based on traits and important life traits that cannot be measured with scores. Sorry, can everyone still hear me? Am I really audible enough?
Yes, you are, Rejoice.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mercy. So, Montessori, we don't just teach subjects, we shape humans. So, this assessment captures how students develop emotionally, socially, physically, and cognitive across key growth areas. So, you have key areas, like I mentioned, you create a safe environment where it is easy for you to track these growth areas that put in for these particular children in the different classes, right? And that's Montessori actually captures how they are improving in those areas, to ensure that you've covered up not just their academics, but also their mental, their physical, their social and emotional growth. So Montessori provides insight into, like I said, their emotional and also their behavioral growth, right? And it helps teachers to track development progress beyond grades, just like we mentioned. It also offers a personalized guidance for each child's unique journey. So you're not just generally, but you're actually picking the child and grading them or showing guidance to them personally. You know, also gives parents a clear picture of their whole child's development. Just like I mentioned, these children spend more time in school most times than they do at home. So it's important that you actually not just show the grades to the parents, but also how well they are doing as regards every other aspect that cannot be graded. So while these assessments are vital for early childhood primary education, the process is often inconsistent, it's exhausting, and it's difficult to report clearly to parents. So you probably would have key growth areas for a certain assessment period, maybe half term, and then you have another key growth areas for maybe say the second half term, right? Imagine having the chaos if you don't have it all together and you end up seeing teachers just okay, let's just grade them all together for the entire term, let's not break it because we can actually track it. Or it could be exhausting, the fact that maybe a particular student is not doing so well as regards relationship with other children. And imagine a situation where the parents are not the one picking up these children from school, right? You'd have to wait from where you have maybe a PTA, or you'd you wait when parents come to pick up their child before you explain to them, oh, Adeze didn't do this or did this in school at this time, or certain things like that. The parents are not in real time aware of the progress of their words, because it's actually difficult to report this, because of the conversation. So what also still on what makes it so complex is it's valuable, but it's still hard to get right. Why? Because every child is different. Traits like confidence or neatness manifest uniquely in each child. So making it difficult to standardize your key growth areas that you would want to assess for the kids. So, and then qualitative assessments are hard to measure, not just like the quantitative, where you say, okay, if you get number 1 to 5, each question carries 10 marks, you have 50. This is more qualitative, right? So it's not just about scoring, but it's about describing the behavior within a specific context. It's also time consuming for teachers. So observing, recording, and commenting, trying to gather up feedback for parents can really be time consuming. Sorry, and then reports are hard to report. The results are hard to report, like I mentioned. So displaying it and explaining it to parents, this is what I mean, can be used as well. So the nuance of measuring growth, consider where you have independence, as a key trait or a key to track for the students or assess for the students. In nursery, it might mean a child can wear their shoes unaided. While in year two, it could mean completing tasks without constant reminders, right? Measuring this growth consistently on one platform is a significant challenge, right? Similarly, emotional regulation is difficult to score consistently across 20 kids. And then having to clearly explain that means on a report card can really be difficult. So this assessment actually demands empathy, precision, and time. In real time is important, because you don't want to wait to the end of term, right? This are not just, it's a whole child's development we're talking about, and there's no universal scoring guide. For traits like confidence, just like we said, for empathy, every child is on a unique journey, and educators actually strive to reflect what that means while maintaining, the order and clarity that any school, is accountable to the parents for. So that's where you have the SAFSIMS advantage, right? Where it has streamlined the process, also streamlined the process and made it easier for you to be able to, give it clarity and in real time to the parents. So SAFSIMS gives your teacher without the parent actually see the report. So you have custom trait banks for Montessori areas, instead of you having to battle with all these traits and then how they box into a particular key area or key growth area. Substance helps you to create more like a bank of this that you can recycle and use over time. You also have flexible Montessori assessment templates that match your school grading scale. So whether you're putting the grade scale for that key growth area to be okay on a scale of 1 to 5, this is how your child is doing. Or the child, you want to put it in later based, where you have, okay, this child for this particular key growth or for this particular trait is emerging, or is improving, or those kind of things. It's really flexible on substance. And I also have to make that report as school design to the college there, how you want it structured, you actually have that flexibility, right? So teachers just enter, the progress of the child, and automatically your report cards are generated. It also helps you to improve parents' engagement, right? So now your report now makes sense to the parents. They can see it and understand, and also track the progress of their words, for those key areas. And you can actually give meaningful feedback and then in real time to the parents. So a Daisy's mom in real time can understand what is happening with her child, not just academically, but every other aspect. Um, can anyone still hear me? Am I still audible? Just to confirm.
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
Okay, great. So without wasting much time, let's see how that plays out. On the SAFSIMS portal. So I'm actually going to be resharing a screen now. Let me know if you can see that instead. Okay, has my screen changed? Okay, great. Okay, thank you for the feedback. All right, so this is SAFSIMS, portal, and let's just go through the broadsheet. So this is where your results are for every class, just like we saw in the last webinar. And then this is what a report card looks like for a Montessori. So you have this that you can have a key growth area, social and emotional development, right? And these are the traits to track this child's, improvements in those areas, right? And you also have liberty of rating. So this just makes sense to the parents, knowing that, oh, for maybe say counts to 50, my child actually can count to 50. Right? Or recognizing numbers 1 to 40, well, is on the beginning stage. In real time, they have access to this. Also, you can have flexibility to design your report templates just like this as well, where you put in, the learning focus, what and what is being done or is being tracked within that assessment period. So the parents is aware that this is okay. This is the areas we covered in class, and then for your particular child, this is how they are doing. The performance level for the child, and this is the class target. And against our class target for each of these areas of learning, this is how the child is performing, right? And then also the teachers can give, their comments as well too. Or you could have this where you have a more detailed description at the top, and then also give your general comments on each of the key areas that the child are being um, assessed on. SAFSIMS also gives you the liberty to customize it this way, where you have your different traits, key learning areas here, and then the different grades that the child has, or the different learning parts, and then also a comment basically. Or you have this where they are based, okay, these are the comments for each learning area. So for physical and social development, this is the actual feedback. So instead of waiting for the parents to come to school, or you have a PTA on open day to give this feedback, the teachers can actually give their comments, direct comments even before seeing the progress of the child. Right? They can still give a general comment. And also, because this Montessori is not for the foundation classes, also for score-based classes, the primary classes. Also, there are certain times where you want to track also their performance, and you want to share that with the parent alongside scores they are having as well, to see this here, and then what was expected, how the child performs like what. So let's go back to done staff since portal now. So just like we mentioned, for everything you do on staff since it is flexible and it is directed to your school, you can customize it to your school. We have the configuration that allows you to do the setup generally to suit your school's network, and you navigate to the performance configuration. Um, Here you have the early assessment, right? So if you notice here, I mentioned the back kind of all my key area traits that would be assessed for the children. You can actually go to the assessment areas and assessment. And we also made it easier for schools. We have a template that you can with. So I'll just begin to say I want to numeracy, their literacy, and say phonics. And then you submit. Once that is done, you have it here. So you can choose to add more, more traits to your learning areas, change the name, really just edit it based on your school's requirements, right? And then you probably give it a name. So maybe I would say nursery, nursery class. Probably this was nursery class or the preschool, and then I preview. It's all good, and I save. So the same thing goes for the rating, right? So just like I mentioned, how do you want to assess their performance? So you just go navigate to the rating and go to the add rating option here. So as usual, we have a template that makes the work so easy for schools. You can use the template, which do you want to use as your rating scale. I will get this and it suits more with what I want. And then I go to use rating. And you can also, edit based, on what you want. And then you give it, maybe I'll say another rating. Let's just use rating. And then I save. So someone unmuted. Let's see that too. All right. So right here, makes you sorry, to speak or come in. Okay. All right. So once you're done with that, you want to assign it to classes. So you notice here that this is your bank of all the focus areas that you'll be assessing the students on, and then also the traits on that areas that help you to grade them generally. So once you're done creating everything, just like your assessment bank, you now have the liberty to assign it to the respective classes that will be using this trait. So you want to navigate the class option takes you here where you now see all the assessments that you be right there, and then you can assign it to the classes. So bear in mind that you make sure to say this particular like we have here second half. If half this is what assessing in preschool and nursery, and then in second half this is what I'll also be assessing um, preschool and nursery. So you can assign multiple EY assessments to different classes. Also the same thing with the rating. You just navigate to rate and assign to the right class. Sorry, if you have a question, we'll be taking questions short after the demo. All right, once you want to save your changes. Now, once this is done, you have your teachers when they log into the portal, right, and they go to their class, the classes that they've been assigned to, right. So I am coming in now as a teacher. I see my students and I also see early years. So this is where I get to, I'm sorry, this is where I get to assess the students. So notice I have two assessments for this particular class, right? So this is the first half. So technically what that means that is that I'm going to be assessing the students at the first half and the second half of the term. Right, so I go to assess students, pick a particular student, right? And then all the traits that I'll be assessing on that bonding relationship, right, as a key area, lay down, and then I assess the students, right? And I can also add a comment. Say maybe I want the parents to be aware that okay, in forming special friendship with other children, your child actually has not, been able to have a friend all through the term, and he struggles with, interpersonal relationships and all of that. I can actually include it here as a comment for the parents, will be visible to the parents, right? And then I can also give a general comment on this key area, which is building relationships, right? Based on all the traits that I've assessed for the particular students. And then I can proceed on to the other key areas that I'll be assessing the students on. The same thing, giving my comments. So once the teachers are done, we will be assessing results ready, and that is where you see the result on the broadsheet. Now, like I mentioned, since it's just like I shared earlier, and that is done. Still also on the configuration before we go to brush it. Still also on the configuration where you have report templates, right? So if you select on that, you can actually there is a default template for every school that you can work with, and edit, right? But very importantly also you can actually upload a template. So what that means is school, you can design your templates in Word file, right? And then you'd upload it basically on the portal, so it suits what you want. Give it a name, say maybe preschool. I'll say preschool reports, and then I browse through my my files. I don't think you can see that, but I browse through the Word documents I have, pick the one I have created for preschool, and then I upload it, right? Let me just add one so you see the upload template. Or you could use the default one that we have already, on the portal, and then download it and edit it, or edit it generally to suit what 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 works for the school. Sorry, can everyone still hear me before I proceed?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. So once you have your report template, so you would want to like assign it to the classes. Now, I mentioned earlier that SAFSIMS allows you to have classes where you don't have to give child. So that is done at the class level. I just go instance configuration and level. Then
Hi,
so we
Rejoice.
know, yes,
Okay, you were breaking at some point, so you might need to go over what you just said again.
is there about that. Okay, so I mentioned that SAFSIMS allows you to have multiple assessments. So you have to the end of the term, it meets into an assessment, with students, with parents. So that can be done by navigating option. Like I mentioned, this is where you do a setup and you go to class level. Um, this list of the class levels that you have in the school, and I'll be using pre-nursery for this, right? So here I have what is called result configuration. So notice I created this class already has a first term report and a second term report. So let me just so I'm giving the first term, right? These are all the elements that for this class as key areas for each of these classes, right? That on that key areas. So if, for example, I'm actually going to be doing, all right, okay. So once that is, you have it here, you go to the templates, right? I already selected the and then the trait that I created, I select it and then I save, right? And then I, set it in use. Same thing goes for the second thing. You have a cumulative report as well, that can be done. So let me just go to an entirely different session. It's like I navigate terms and sessions. Okay, so this class. So yeah, same goes for I think last webinar when we had navigate for normal level, but let me just show that. Go to the class I will be doing cumulative. That's for this class. The results of preparation. So see one or this result is an end of term result, so all is showing then automatically results, right? Then you assign the templates to it, right? To save this, it's actually has created a cumulative, so you can have midterm, end of term cumulative. For Montessori class, you can have them certified half or whichever assessment you have that it's really easy for the students to create the different resource configurations you want, whether you want to be an end of term report or a mid-term report, a qualitative report. Let's have report for comparison, have report. This because of those automations. Teachers, right? So once you can do it on the broadsheet, right? So to pick fast for earlier and thank you. Okay. Yeah, Alright, so I just need to get time to load. Just a moment. Let me log back in.
Hi, Rejoice. Are you still speaking? We can no longer hear you.
Yeah, can you
Yeah, but it's breaking. Is it possible
hear
to change your internet
me?
provider?
Hi, Leslie.
I can hear you now.
Mm.
So we are at some point it's like your network is shaky. So I'm asking if it's possible to change your internet provider so we can hear you better.
Okay, hi, Leslie. Can you hear me better?
Yes, I can hear you now.
ìyẹn ní ibi tá a wà yìí. Don't come up here.
Yeah, hi, Leslie. Can you see my screen still?
Yes, I can, and I can hear you clearly too. Your screen has stopped showing. Hi everyone. Sorry for the break. Let's why she's trying to figure out her network issues.
Okay, hi Nancy, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, can you see my screen as well?
Yes.
Okay, apologies on that. But we could drop in our questions. For those of us that have questions, you can actually start dropping our questions while I just share my screen. Okay. All right. Is my screen visible? Can I see?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, we navigated to the broadsheet, right? And if you look here, we have our trade groups, which is our key areas. Basically, we have our first half, our second half, just like we created, and we also have our reports template for first half and second half, right? Just like we create as well. So just the same way you have it for like we talked about the webinar one, you need to approve the reports, for the student when it's time for the parents to have access to it. So consider something the same thing. Actually, like approve the results. For anything, any child, say shouldn't or shouldn't get a report, you can recall you already approved results, and the parents will have access to the results, right? And then also as an admin, if you want to have a physical copy or download a copy of the report, you can bulk download. It downloads all the reports for the entire students in that class, as well too. So if I switch first half and second half, it switches to my second half assessment, right? And if you look at the traits, it's different because second half communication and language is very pursue that, right? So that just shows you the flexibility or the extent to which you can be really flexible with report. By clicking on the view report, it takes you to a different screen, where you would see the report. So this is the report of the students like before, and and I switch it to first half assessment. I can also like view and go to the report for the first half. So if I click on view report, take me to another screen where I have a report for that second half, just second half, and then you can download a copy of it. Now, also, if you want the parents to have, without them even going to log in and check, you want to send the report directly to their email, you just select here and then send report link. If you have any child that you don't want the parents to have access to the reports, you can uncheck them from the list, and send the report link to the parent by either email or SMS, and send to the particular parent, to the parents, sorry. Now let's see what it's like on the parent side. Say I've sent a particular report to a parent. Let's see what that looks like. So let me navigate to parents application. So bear in mind that SAFSIMS gives you a mobile application for the parent. So it looks like your WhatsApp. Once they do their one-time login, anytime you have reports, they are notified, or you notify them either through email, send the email, actually email on the portal to let them know that their reports are ready, or the parents, that log in to see that result. So let me show you what that looks like. This is the parent portal. Now, so has been approved for the student, and this reports, and second half reports for the child, and the parents can actually download this report. So imagine you having 30 students in one class having to print paper. Just imagine to print three papers or four copies, four papers per student. The money you will spend on that, with economy and all, SAFSIMS eliminates that completely by allowing the parents to have access to this report, and then being able to also download a copy of it. So you don't have to print reports for the parents, and then parents can also navigate previous terms and also navigate previous sessions. Um, do we have any questions? Do you have any questions before we proceed?
Hi, Rejoice. So there is a question or like a comment in the chat. The person is
Okay.
saying, please kindly show us grade 7 templates.
Okay, so basically, it's not tied to. You can actually customize it the way you want. What you want to use for grade 7, what you want to use for grade 1, preschool, nursery, class, you can SAFSIM. So just pick a grade 7 and know what you can actually upload it on SAFSIMs, or you can use what you have and customize it to what you want. Right. So any of these reports basically can be for your class, depending on what your learning focus or the key areas you want track for each of the students is. So any of this basically works. Um, for a class that I know grade 7 will probably be a class that is, mixed with scores and traits, right? So you could actually also have that. So that doesn't mean that this is exactly how it will look like. You can change whatever it is you want, the template tables, you can, readjust it to suit what works for you as a school. I don't know if that answers the question. Is there any other, do you have any other question?
Yes. So someone else is asking, saying, when I explored the report sheets, I discovered the templates are given. Is there a general report sheet for UMS schools?
For yes, there is a general pattern what the report will be. When I say pattern, I mean what it is that will be, shown on the report. So I know things like, position. There are certain, there's a general pattern, right? But how you want to design it is unique to your school, right? That's for you in the schools. Any other questions?
No other question in
So
the chat, but we take live on the spot questions.
okay. All right. So if anyone has a question, you can feel free to unmute your mic and ask your question. Well, I'm guessing most of us have started using, the Montessori because of how tedious it is. But SAFSIM actually makes it easy for you. Then it eliminates the stress of doing it, right? And whatever way to do any smart schools that don't wait for change, they actually do the change. So if your school values traits like leadership or resilience, you need a school that treats them as serious as you treat your academics. So SAFSIM reflects how you truly teach, not just what the curriculum says. So like I said, students are spending more time in school than they are outside. So it's important that we are breeding a generation that is wholly prepared for what is out there, a wholesome environment for them to develop not just academically but cognitively, emotionally, physically, an relationship, interpersonal relationship. That bridge can only be, built at the foundation stage. So if you're ready to switch, make the switch, or you can actually book a one-on-one with us to get you started in minutes. Or if you're already currently uh, on SAFSIMS, or you are starting off on SAFSIMS, you can start with a class. Take one class, do not serve, and see how it's risk free, right? And then expand to other classes. Right, so we also have a 30-day free trial for any school that we're joining on SAFSIMS currently now. So you have 30 days, which is a month, to go through the portal, get flexibility. We also have tutorials, start tutorials to help you get started. And like I said, we also have our an onboarding specialist that is ready to walk you through the process. If you do that, you just have to get started by visiting the SAFSIMS.com. We also have a page that's ongoing where you can, so you get 20% 20% for any school that enrolls through you SAFSIMS and make payments. So to get on board your package, get started, make payment, you are disbursed 20% of that payment. That's a good. All right, do you still have questions?
Yes. So someone is saying they joined late and
Okay.
was later disconnected.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there is the link to be shared to your email after now, but it will also be uploaded on YouTube, so you can go back, to go through it on YouTube, but also be sent to your email. So,
All right.
do you have any other?
Yes. So this is a follow-up question on the last question around the template for UMS schools. And the person is asking, how can the new UMSS school get the template for the report sheets?
Okay, so it should already be on your portal, but if you don't yet, or you don't yet know how to get about it, or it's still not your taste, you need for that clarity, you can just drop a message on the WhatsApp message of the new group, and that will be sorted out. But it should actually, you should already have your template already, but if you don't, or you're not comfortable, just drop a message. Yeah.
I think that's it for the chat.
All right. Thank you very much. If you have any questions live, thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. For the next webinar, we get some email too. We'll be talking about something very important, which is revenue, making money as a school, and then for parents, how it can be easy for you to make sense. So we know the hustle and bustle of getting to pay for your child's fee as well too. So I'm looking at that in the next webinar, and then also how schools can manage payments, make it easy for you. So we see the next webinar. You would invite someone, share the webinar with someone, and we'll see you then. Hi, Leslie. Hope there are no
Hi,
other
Rejoice.
questions.
So I just dropped, for those asking, those who joined late or those who missed some of the session, or if you want to even just replay the entire session, I just dropped the YouTube link in the chat, so you can quickly copy that before the session ends and you lose access to the chat. But then it will still be sent via email, like Rejoice mentioned. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day.